This is Eric Sanderson, and I'm here to talk about the song Runaways by Jordan Hemingway.
Left our troubles first thing in the morning.
I first met Jordan a year ago when co-producing an EP for him with the talented Rob Allen.
Saw the glimmering lake from the bridge.
Jordan is a true talent and a kind soul.
You said the tide, it won't change if you don't make a name for yourself.
As usual, I'm going to open up this track, see what's inside, and share a little bit about what's involved in producing a song.
That was the day that you gave me your hand.
I'm also going to introduce you to two inspiring artists that collaborated on this track, Kurt Leone and Dom Mitchell. So without further ado, let's take a deep dive and see what makes this song tick. Welcome, Jordan Hemingway. And so we've been talking for a little bit already, and getting reacquainted with one another. So this is the second Harbor Community session, and it's a song called Runaways that you wrote and demoed out, and we did it together. And hopefully, people have already listened to the song and checked it out. And
you haven't.
What's that?
So if you haven't listened to it, then go on speak to the viewers.
Go check it out. Yeah. So you can listen to it for free on Bandcamp. So yeah, basically, today I wanted to talk to you, let you kind of tell people about yourself and where you're coming from. We can talk a little bit about meeting each other. And then starting the process of working on this song together. And then eventually I want to open up the Protools session and look into it and really kind of dive. And, you and I have spoken already a little bit today about what what we've kind of learned from one another working together. So I guess let's just start off by giving you a chance to introduce yourself and say hello and hopefully broaden our community and make it bigger.
Yeah, well, my name's Jordan Hemingway, and I'm from a little town called Basildon in England, in Essex, in England. Just a little while, about 50 minutes away from London. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I've been doing it for quite a while now. And basically, I've got involved with Eric and also Rob Allen from the band, from Eric's band, Augustine's. Maybe a couple of years ago now, a year or so.
I think so, yeah.
And basically I uploaded a couple of songs on my Instagram, and I believe it was Rob that got in contact with me, said, "I really like your stuff. Would you like to work together?" And I was very excited by that, to work with such talented guys. And I sent him a bunch of demos over, and then I believe he got in contact with yourself, Eric. Is that right? And
yeah, Rob reached out to me, and basically said that the two of you had been in contact.
The next Prince, he said, didn't he? He said,
I think he said the next Michael Jackson.
Because he's seen me dancing as well.
Yeah. He said that you had been sending him some songs, and that I needed to hear it, and he just thought it was amazing. And you had been talking with him about him producing an EP for you.
That's it. Yeah.
And you guys were gonna go up to Peter Cadis's, and then Rob was working out the budgets, and with you flying over, it was obviously a difficult challenge budget wise.
Yeah.
And then Rob came to me and said, "Hey, I just got in the studio," so he's like, "Hey, do you think that we could do it at your place? I'd love for you to participate in it, and we'd have more time to kind of make the EP as good as we can make it, rather than just booking out a week at a big studio. We could spend more time on it." And how do I say this? Basically, when we started talking about Runaways, doing the song together, we also were talking about doing an album together. And that was like during the COVID lockdown here in New York. And it's, we're not in lockdown right now, but we basically should be. And
Yeah, we are. We're in the second lockdown at the moment. I think we're due to come out of it again. But yeah, that's why I'm so hairy at the moment.
Yeah, but I mean, we basically should be, but people really want to see their families on Thanksgiving, so they're but unfortunately, we'll see how it goes. I wish the best. But yeah, I remember I was reaching out to you. You posted Runaways, the song, like a video of you performing it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. And I was like, okay, well, we should work on this. And then you and I were talking about, doing another EP or a record or something. And it's like, okay, well, there was so much uncertainty with scheduling and logistics and, all this stuff that I think we just kind of said, well, let's just do this one song through Harvard Community Session. Because it's something we can do during lockdown, and we'll finish it and get it out. And, then we can talk more about other stuff. So that felt really good. It felt good to like, know that there's, that music can still be done even remotely and collaboratively, like we can still work together and make something special.
And I definitely feel we've accomplished what we set out to do. I think it sounds great. I'm so pleased with the outcome. And it was different to work that way. But yeah, I think we've done a good job. You've done an amazing job, and like I said earlier, like the track you did with Dennis as well, Son of Dove, amazing track. I said, people need to hear that song. It's great.
Thank you, man. I agree. I think Dennis is just really talented, and it's cool because I go back and I listen to like some of his other catalog, and
I've been doing the same.
It's all good, like, and he does it all himself for the most part. I mean, I think he's done some various. I think recently he's been doing it all himself because it's just, he can, and he prefers, he's just a creative person, and he can't, like, it's the best type of creativity. It's like, creating for the sake of creating.
Yeah, well, you can't switch it off. What it's like. That's just what you live for. So, and I think he's that type of person as well. It's like he needs to be. Like, I need to be writing songs. If I'm not doing that, then what's like that? There's nothing. Nothing that gives me that much joy. And nothing makes me feel that way. And I'm sure you're the same. And I'm sure Dennis is the same.
I was talking to Billy before I came into the studio. I was out on the rocks and just chatting on the phone with Billy, and we were just saying, it's like, we love to work, like not like in some weird Wolf of Wall Street way, but like in like I was saying, like if I'm hanging out, like just relaxing in the backyard, within like 15 minutes, it's inevitable that I'm gonna like start pruning some bushes or raking some leaves or doing something. Like I really like doing things. I'll come in and I'll reorganize my patch bay just because I think it can be better, or I'll reorganize the storage closet just because I think it can be better. And like these projects like take a lot of energy and they take a lot of time, but it's completely worth it because it's not just about the outcome. It's not just about like, oh, I've recorded a song, now listen to it. It's like, no, like I just spent all this beautiful time and energy, like filling myself with positive momentum while making this song. And like, in a funny way, it's like I care less about the end result as much as I do the process of making it.
Yeah, I think it's a great attitude. And I kind of wanted to know, like along those lines, I wanted to know if like when you did go to the studio to record these bits, when was it like all right, I've got this idea, I'll go down there now? Or was it like, I've got this hour? Did you do long sessions?
Oh,
Or
right. I see what you're saying.
yeah, just segments of time?
It kind of a little bit of both. When COVID started, the lockdown started, like we no longer had childcare for our son.
Right.
And
Okay.
my wife Diana is an assistant principal, so she was doing a lot of Zoom conferences and meetings. So naturally, we were splitting childcare, and our son still takes pretty heroic naps in the afternoon.
Right.
So like 2-3 hour naps. It's pretty.
Those were the days.
yeah. That they're going away. I think we're at the end of that phase. But yeah. So like basically, I'd wake up and like. Some days I would come down to the studio like super early in the morning. I'd be here at like 5 a.m. because Diana would start at like 9 to her Zoom meetings. So like I would essentially wake up early and come and get some work done, and then go back and then watch Rowan till his nap, and then come back for a couple hours. And it was really chaotic and really like difficult on some level, but also kind of beautiful because that was life. It was just like hanging out with my son and hanging out with Diana and making music. And that's kind of all we did. We celebrated cocktail hour around 5:30 or whatever. We'd make Rowan like a little orange juice cocktail. It was really cute.
Yeah, oh, that's nice.
And a lot of time in the garden. The weather was really nice. So, but then as things kind of evolved a little bit, I started to get more longer blocks of time. And I've always been of the philosophy that, consistency. I'm an incredibly inconsistent person. It's like my nature is, I'm not like a very habit-based person.
Right.
But I'm very consistent in my desire and willingness to work on something like musically or whatever it is. It's just my habits are inconsistent. And so, but at the same time, I ascribe to the philosophy that like, you should never wait for inspiration to create. Like you should create the situation or create the opportunity for creativity.
Right.
So that's worked out great at the studio because it's like I can kind of like work on my schedule and do stuff and be like, okay, I have 4 hours. I'm gonna go work on Jordan's song, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'm gonna do drums. I don't know if I'm gonna do guitar or bass, or whatever. But I have this time. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to close the door and I'm going to listen to the song and whatever I hear, like you mentioned earlier, like, am I actually hearing this or is it there? Like sometimes you don't know. And I find that like the most creative stuff comes from just listening, like if you play a chord on a piano, like you can hear all the notes. It's all there laid out in front of you. And like acoustic guitar and vocals, like in the overtones, there's all the sounds are there. Like the piano lines are there, the counter melodies are there, the background vocals are all there if you just listen to it.
It's so true.
Listen to something enough, you hear it, Yeah. So I do
like
that.
When you record like so like I record a lot to like voice memos, and just a guitar and a vocal.
Yeah.
And just so much comes out. That's how the songs are born. It's like you play a guitar, you might even play it slightly wrong or something, and then that just leads to the next idea, or it might bring you the chorus of the song or the bridge or a vocal line or whatever. It's you're right. It's just listening to so that the harmonics on the guitar or whatever you think, oh, that's going to be a piano line. That's going to be It's just you're right. It's just I'm much the same. I tried to do it the other night. I've been started a new song, and I'll sit down and I'll try and finish it. But just because I was sitting there, purpose.
You're thinking about it,
thinking about it, and not. I'm more inspired by like I need to listen to some music, or I need to get in that frame of mind, bringing up the imagery and whatever, and then I go from there.
Yeah.
So just sitting down and thinking of words that rhyme. It wasn't like it was like, no, this is not kind of working. But it's funny because you do that, and then you pick up the guitar and start playing another song, and then something will click and you go, oh, that's what I'll use for that song, or
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
if you're too focused on a specific task, then sure, you might accomplish the task, but like,
Yeah.
really what it's about is like creating the opportunity for the task to possibly be like
creating the possibility.
You have to like, it's like you're an architect and you have to like create the space for creativity to happen. And and usually two things happen for me. One is that while trying to do something else happens, and that's the magic. You know, like I'm trying to get a bass line down, and then it's like, oh wait, I just heard this thing, and then next thing you know, I have a guitar line down, you know, or whatever. And then the other thing that happens all the time is I do something kind of off the cuff, and I'm like, yeah, I was just kind of like, ugh. But then I come back the next day, or I listen to it later that day, and I'm like, wow,
that?
What was that? When did I do that? Like, I don't remember doing it, because it was. I think it was the song "Little Lights."
Yeah.
Little piano at the end.
Yeah.
I don't remember who did that. I think I played that on piano. I think, but I don't remember. But I certainly, like, it's the way it sits in the mix. It's almost like a standout, like, melody at the end of the song, and it's like, certainly, without a doubt, was not the original intention of that.
Yes.
It wasn't like conceptualized or intellectualized and then performed. It was like more just like just playing instruments, and like it's like, oh, I'm just playing a C scale. But next thing you know, that C scale is like one of the most prominent lines.
That's the beauty of it all. It's like, that's what it is. It's like, you know, you're not consciously thinking about this part. You just feel it and you do it, and then it's the best part of the song, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Well, let's. I couldn't agree with you more. And let's talk about this song that you've written, and you know, let's dive in. I'd like to open up the Pro Tools session, and I know that you. I asked you before, like, if there's anything I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about like various things. I think it's always good to look at vocals, like your lead vocals and background vocals, because there's a lot of vocals on this track. I also want to talk about drums a little bit in today's session, because it's a bit of a non-traditional drum arrangement, and it's also I didn't cover drums at all in the last session. So I think it'd be cool to talk about that a little bit, and talk about the work that Kurt Leon did and Don Mitchell did. Kind of show like what they brought to the song, and
big shout out to those guys as well for like for doing, you know, for bringing the song to life. You know, really, their parts are,
they're super talented dudes.
Amazing.
It's really cool.
Really honored to have you guys.
And you mentioned that there's a line after, like, let's leave this masquerade, and you weren't sure if it was there or if you were hearing it, and I was saying I think it's Dom's vocals, but we'll
I'm pretty certain I wasn't just imagining it, but
I don't think you're imagining it, but let's check it out.
I love it. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to share my screen with you.
Yep.
There we go, sir.
Lovely.
All right. So this is the Pro Tools session, and this is the track. And, you know, we were listening to this just briefly before, but I just want to kind of show the original demo, and the main reason why I want to show this is to show people how developed your recording was when you sent it to me. I mean, as I mentioned, you know, I heard it was just acoustic guitar and vocals, and then I was like, hey, let's work on this song. I think it's really good. And when you sent it to me, it was, in my opinion, a fully produced track. And I think that, like, people don't give themselves enough credit. And, you know, they always think that when I get with somebody, it's going to be like this, like, big different thing and all this stuff. And I actually don't think it changed that much from what you did outside of the arrangement. Like you mentioned, I took out the first chorus, but the general feeling of the track has stayed true.
The main bones of the song they definitely stayed the same. But when I recorded this demo, I just wanted to give you as much to work with. I wasn't. It was more like to say like this, all this stuff, just to give you, more to give you ideas. This is what I'm thinking, but I was completely open minded. I was like, I know Eric's gonna smash this anyway. So it was funny, like you mentioned about the first chorus. So basically, there was 2 choruses to start with. It was verse, chorus, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then Eric gets back to me and says, "Oh, by the way, I've just taken out the whole of the first chorus, so it just goes verse, and then there's like a instrumental thing, and then into the next verse."
It's
and
I was saying, like, it's so weird that I did that, because normally I don't do that. Normally I'll do the opposite, where it's like people have too many verses, and I'm like, let's just get to the chorus, you know. But
no, I wasn't. I would never have done that. So it was like when you sent the idea over to me, I was like, man, that's great. That works really well.
I think it does work, you know. I don't know why, but
it's because it's the suspense. It's the like. That's what I think anyway, and I'm sure that's what you were thinking when you did it. It's like,
yeah. I mean, maybe
comes like it's coming, and then the chorus hits, and then that's when the bass is introduced as well. There's no bass up to that point. So it's like a long time without, like, we're all waiting. I'm waiting. I'm listening to it going, come
yeah, well, it's funny because I remember on this track, I was obsessed with the idea of not adding bass, and seeing how far I could possibly get.
Yeah.
Where I added bass, like how full and thick. And I mean, I did it.
Man,
I was
just to play the last note in bass, I think that was taking it a bit too far. What you did, it was
the last note.
The last note of the song, just one bass drum.
Yeah, right. Just like whole song with no bass, and then boom. That'd be brilliant. But we did. I was up at Peter's studio, and he was producing an EP for Death Cab for Cutie, and we were working on the track, and at one point he kind of leaned over to me, and he's like, I really want to see how far I can push this before we add bass.
Yeah.
And I was, and right when he said it, it kind of clicked in my mind. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. There's no bass, like, because the song was full and big sounding. I mean, it was going like verse, chorus, verse. There was no bass, and then inevitably, you know, they worked and they added bass, and it sounds better. You know, like when the bass comes in, it's really full and rich and lush and sounds great, which is what you want bass to do. So ever since he said that, I've just been obsessed, because naturally I'm a bass player, and I've always defaulted to the first thing being bass. You know, like,
that's kind of funny, you know, like that you are a bass player, and the last thing put in is the bass. And I remember when we recorded The Divide from the first EP, you mentioned that to me then, because you was like, no, I don't want to put the bass in straight away. I want to, and you referenced the song. I think it was either Tom Waits. It might have been
Hold On, was it?
It might have been Hold On, or it might have been I think it was Lord Huron.
Oh yeah, that's a great song. I don't know the song name, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but man, and since on a side note, since you mentioned that song, I mean, I think I'd heard a couple of their songs, but man, I'm just massive. I'm hooked on Lord Huron since then.
Great band, yeah.
Amazing songwriter as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, as you were saying.
Oh, so that's interesting. So that was, yeah, well, there's something about bass that it makes you feel comfortable, like instantly, you know, like if the song's going along and then you just add like a big bass, especially sub bass, like if you add this like big gushy boom to the bottom, all of a sudden it's like a big exhale. You're like, oh, that sounds great. It's great. But the challenge with that is that it takes up so much space in the mix, and it can easily get to the point where, like, once you've heard it, it's like, okay, well, where do you go from there? Exactly. So I like the idea two parts. One is like I like the idea of leaving the bass till a later stage, assuming the bass line's like going to be, I don't know. I generally do like more melodic bass than just straight bass,
yeah.
but because of that like more melodic approach and more rhythmic approach, I like to not step on everyone else's parts and step on all the other rhythms. So if I have a bass line that's really specific in my mind, I'll lay it down. But if I'm kind of like not sure, then I'll be like, okay, well, let me push myself, and I'm going to do piano and guitar, and we'll build out the drums, and we'll get the background vocals, get it all like really, really speaking, so that we can listen to the song from beginning to end, and it feels really good without bass.
Yeah.
And then when I go to add bass, it's a double-edged sword, because sometimes it's really difficult at that point to add bass. Actually, on this song, I spent a couple sessions trying to add bass because I couldn't figure it out, and it was deceivingly challenging. Even though the bass line in the end is quite simple, but I was overplaying a lot, and I had to simplify and pull back, and find the right notes for the right point, so that it didn't step on the song, and it didn't take away from all the cool guitar work that you had done and all the stuff that Dom had done, and I wanted all that stuff to stay in the forefront, but just have the bass give you that feeling of comfort, and poke out every once in a while and be interesting, and then go back in its cave.
Where you positioned it, where you do come in, I think it's perfect, because it's like
I don't even know where I come.
We're waiting for that
the chorus, yeah.
Yeah. So I think as a listener, I was kind of like, waiting for that chorus to come in, and when it does come in, it's everything that you kind of want it to be.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so let's check it out. Let's listen to some music. So this is the original demo that you sent over. I'll just play a little bit of the various sections, so people can kind of hear what I got. That's not the original demo because there's piano on it. Funny, isn't it? Did you do that piano, or was that me? That twinkly stuff?
That's the actual track, I think.
Oh, of course it is. My bad. Yeah. I did that last video. Okay, so it's just guitar. It's quiet, so I'll turn it up.
Left our troubles first thing in the morning. Saw the glimmering light from the bridge.
Yeah, so you have that drone note. You had like a little piano thing in the beginning, which I remember you saying you liked, but you wasn't sure if it was good enough. Or
it was just a thing, I wasn't. Didn't fill me with.
But I liked it. I think I actually tried to do something with it for a long time, and in the end, it just became something else. But essentially, you've got the acoustic guitar vocal, and then you have some form of keyboard doing like a drone note, which is establishing that vibe.
It was a guitar.
Oh, really?
But with some kind of effect on it, and I just thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I might have even used that.
Yeah, I wasn't completely sure. It was just an idea.
No, I don't think. Maybe I put it in the keyboard bin. Piano. No, I don't think I used that. But
yeah, I always struggled like with the intro. I had no real idea for that. Nothing interesting for me. It was like.
But you were establishing a mood, which is the
exactly. I mean, I wanted to kind of with this song, I wanted to be like a bit of an adventure, like the runaways. You put the first line, left our troubles first thing in the morning. It's like I wanted to have that fresh start, kind of we're getting away, kind of feeling, So I couldn't I'm not good enough on the piano to kind of really figure that out. But I think
man. And this isn't like a big pop tune, so it's more of a mood tune.
Yeah.
Granted, Taylor Swift's new album, which is like the biggest selling album of the entire year, is all mood tunes and not pop tunes. So
yeah,
mood tunes are now pop tunes, I guess. But whatever. Let's see what else you did.
You said the tide won't change if you don't make a name for yourself.
Love that guitar work.
Chasing strange trails, crossing train tracks, holding out.
That's the cut chorus.
Yeah.
You are the one.
Okay, so yeah, this is going into the first verse, second verse.
Second verse.
But
Yeah.
you see the background vocals and your percussion that you did.
You are the one that just can't let it go. And I'm the one that won't get out.
So that tambourine is the final tambourine in the actual
really?
recording. That your tambourine, yeah. The stomps, I don't think I used at all. I think I replaced them, but
I wouldn't have used those. They weren't stomps. They were like I said before. They were. It was a lock, a box with a lock in it that I found in the shed, and I was just hitting it with my hand.
I love it. But again, you established the vibe, which is the cool part. You know,
I mean, I just felt like it was a lock in a box type vibe drum. So
lock in a box.
lock in a box.
Put that on the credit notes. Jordan Heminway, vocals, guitar, lock in a box.
Lock in a box. Yeah.
Let's see what this one is. I don't know what this loud part is here.
Alone in the morning.
It's the chorus.
Oh, chasing strange trails, crossing train tracks, holding nightmares, they ain't coming back.
Cool. So now, obviously, this is the mix. I'm going to turn it down because I'm not sure how
Back
loud.
was recorded in the next town down, I think.
Oh, those ones
So
were?
much reverb. So much reverb.
That's cool, though.
Sleepless masquerade, oh darling.
Yeah, so let me go to the actual, let's see, we'll go here. Yeah, so here's the actual.
In the morning, oh, chasing strange trails, crossing train tracks, holding nightmares.
Again, it's really similar. It's just a more fuller,
Was it a Mellotron?
broader version of what you did, you know?
What was that? Was it is it a Mellotron? The thing you used to what's that thing in the synthy type thing in the background?
Which one?
In the morning, oh, chasing strange trails, crossing train tracks, holding night.
Let's do it this way, because I can show you the, if we're just looking at that part of the song, this is the keys. That's weird sounding. I think I added the Mellotron at the very, very end. This is just the Mellotron. Let's see.
Right.
And I put this filter gate on it to give more space in the mix because it was just like blanketing the whole thing. But I'll bypass that. You can hear it just. Kind of cool.
It's really like tastefully in there. It's like you can just kind of make it out, which is
Well, it's interesting because I sent the song to my buddy Greg Giorgio, who's an amazing mix engineer that I've worked with.
I love that.
Yeah, and he listened to it, and I was completely obsessed with the claps. I was like, I can't get the claps right. Like I mixed the claps like 40 different times with 40 different reverbs and like different levels and all this stuff, and I finally got it to where it is now, and I was like, I have no idea if it's good or not. I can't tell if the clap. I was so obsessed with the claps, and I sent it out to Peter and Lawrence, who's the mastering engineer on this, and Greg, and everyone was like, "Claps sound great," and I was like, "Okay, I can stop obsessing." But then Greg was like, "Yeah, but I think on the chorus, maybe you could do like some more guitar or something." He's like, "It feels like it's a little bit hollow in there, and if you just kind of like thickened it out a little bit, that maybe the whole chorus will feel a little bit warmer." And I was like, "Whoa, I never thought of that. Like that wasn't on my radar." And then I did it, and he was totally right. Like it's a subtle change, but it just makes the chorus have a little bit more heart, I think.
Yeah, it gave it that much more for me. Like listening to the mix you did before you added the Mellotron, wherever it is.
Yeah. That's cool.
It made it for me. It was amazing.
Let's see. I want to hear the difference if I just mute it. I wonder if I can even hear how dramatic it is. We're still muted. Sorry. are we muted? Oh, okay, there.
Crossing train tracks, holding nightmares, they ain't coming back. Can't you feel it?
It's so subtle. It's the kind of thing that a lot of people wouldn't even hear.
Yeah. No, I definitely, as soon as you...
It's the heart thing, right? It's like, it just kind of...
It is, yeah. It's, I think it ties it in some way. I don't know if we've used it on any of the other tracks, like on the previous EP, but it kind of ties it in a little bit more with that for some reason for me.
Maybe that's cool. Yeah. I didn't use Mellotron on the EP.
Yeah.
I don't think I did.
If I
did, it was a soft synth, and I don't really remember.
I don't think you did use it, but it's just like that vibe. I don't know what it is. It just
yeah. That's cool. You know, in this chorus, there's also this weird stuff going on. I don't know why that's in there, but it's me. I'm muting the piano string with my fingers, and that's playing. I've been doing it a lot. Yeah, it gives it its really percussive sound to the piano. It's very cool. I like it a lot.
That's cool.
Yeah, but there's really, I don't even know what's this. This is probably bass piano.
That cuts through.
Obviously, a very heavily edited bass piano.
Mm.
You know, actually, that's interesting about this song. I found the chord progression very difficult to figure out because there's a lot of inversions, and if I played what it should be, it sounded wrong, and then if I played what it could be, it was a bit tricky for me. That was part of the bassline challenge. But let's look at the drums. We'll start at the top of the session here, because this I think is kind of cool. You sent over foot stomps, and basically, let's see if I can
lock in a box.
Yeah, this is pretty darn big. Now, this is kind of fun for you. What's that?
Sounds kind of dark when you play it on its own like that.
Yeah, well, there's so much low end in the click in the kick drum, but check this out. That's Little Lights.
Oh, that's the clap from Little Lights. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if I. I mean, it's two of them from Little Lights, you know, and I just wow, I just did a lot of EQing.
The best ones from Little Lights,
apparently. And then I did this Capital reverb, which I have not used on a track since then, but that's what the reverb is. And then I think I don't know why this is doubled. Huh. Maybe this is the same thing with just different claps. I created a stack. I think that's what it is. So you have two wider. Yeah. So it's double.
Maybe that's what's tying it to the EP. That you use the claps.
It's the actual claps from your EP. Yeah. But what's cool is I and this was part of the challenge of the track. Is that it was mono stereo. What's that?
You could have used any claps, but you used the claps from my actual.
I figured why not use something real rather than going. I don't really like samples. I mean, I do, but I kind of don't. But that said, I do have those claps were like wide and on Little Lights. They're really like full spectrum kind of thing. But I made a mono, and because it was taking up too much space in the mix. But then I used battery a lot. I think it's actually really great. And I layered, look at all these claps. I layered a ton of claps in battery.
You were obsessed with those claps, weren't you?
Yeah, dude.
It's funny, you got all this instrumentation going on and you're obsessed with the claps.
It was kind of silly at some point. But these ones are totally like analog sounding, like analog drum machine, but they're completely wide left and right. Check it out. I don't know if you can hear left and right. So they sound kind of terrible, but all together you get this like, which I think is cool. It really worked out, and took a while to figure out. But the big one that was really fun for me was this. If we look at this, there is a lot of samples in here on the kick drum, and there's a lot of them, and I don't even know. that's the biggest one. So that one right there is the biggest one. This sample is from a song that I did on my EP. It was the kick drum. It's listed as August 5th. I don't know what the actual thing is. And then this one's from Greg Giorgio. That's a cool sample. And it has like that really like nose, like the nose, and this has like the width big thing. But together it creates this.
So you put those together, those two?
Yeah, there's a bunch of samples. So I have 1, 2, 3. This one's really quiet. That's kind of the attack. You probably can't even hear it. It's so quiet. This is one of Peter's samples that I literally try not to use because I didn't make it. Same with Greg's, but it's really good. So see, like each one has its own tonality.
Yeah.
Like this one's, it has more of a bow, and this one has like a, it's a little bit higher, but then this one has, this one's the loudest one. Very roomy sounding. Thundery, yeah. And then I don't even know what this one is. Oh. Kick at 15 ips low. I don't even know what that is.
Well, so all these.
I don't know. I have this like sample library of like every time I like have worked on a song, you know, like when doing productions with people, there's always like sounds where it's like, oh, that's a really cool sound. Or like somebody, let's say like Greg is mixed a song for me and he's like brought in a sample. Then I've like grabbed it and thrown it in. Like I have a Greg Giorgio folder and I'll like throw it in there. And you know, so then it's, and I just went through and like put all these samples in. And so basically they're all together. They're all having, that's why that kick drum sounds so gigantic.
Wow. So these are, so each of those are like just one.
Yeah, so this is called Trigger by Slate. Right. I use it for sound replacement, and I took your. Let's see.
Is the lock in the box in there at all?
That's that's amazing. So this is your lock in the box. That's the lock in the box. And then I use that to trigger my samples, which sounds like this.
Whoa.
But then which, you know, in itself doesn't sound crazy, but then I did a lot of, I mean, that's just touching it. The decapitator is probably doing a lot. And the distressor is the main compressor. Oh yeah. That's bringing up the level a lot and bringing up the sustain. This is basic EQ. Rolling off some of the sub, and that's not doing anything at all. It's just there. So this is what you gave me. And this is what I gave you. That's fun.
You have a difference.
A little bit different, yeah. But I did use your tambourine, and so here's your tambourine. And then the other one. Now the other one I think I added.
Kind of feedback on that.
What's that?
There's a real dark feedback on that. On the clap, is it a clap?
Yeah, that's that. Well, that's the thing is I struggled. That was one of the biggest things that I struggled with because I wanted the clap to take up more space.
Yeah.
And have more sustain. And I tried all my tricks of using distortion and using compression to do that, but it just wasn't doing it. I was like, fuck, I have to add reverb because I really didn't want to add reverb to them and make it sound too pretty. And look, there's a deverb on here that's inactive because I tried deverb because sometimes that can be lo-fi and fun sounding. Yeah. And I tried some other stuff but I just couldn't fucking figure it out. And then eventually I I tried the Capital Reverb, which I've never used and I haven't used since, and it worked. It was that dark, darker sound that I was looking for.
Sounds brilliant.
So let's introduce Kurt Leon.
Yes, please.
Yes. So Kurt Leon is an amazing, talented drummer, engineer, and producer. He is from Bridgeport. Well, he's from Asbury Park, but he lives in Bridgeport, Connecticut now. And I've been working with him a lot over the last couple of years. He has his studio is located downstairs at Peters at Tarkin Studios. So I was working out of that studio for a little bit, and then I got this place, and Kurt moved in to that studio, and he's just been rock solid. He's a great drummer. He's a great dude. And I reached out to him and said, hey, there's this track, there's this thing that we're working on. Like, are you interested in participating? And he loved the song and he really wanted to do it. So the great thing about Kurt is he's very, he's just solid, and you can really like kind of send him a track and he'll send you back a fully beautifully recorded drum kit and with great feel and the whole nine.
He seems like everyone else. I reached out to him just on Instagram, like DM'd him, just say like, thanks so much for, it didn't feel right that he'd recorded on the track and I'd not spoken to him before or whatever. So I wanted to just reach out and just say like, thanks so much for getting involved and whatever. And he seemed like, we had a bit of back and forth. He seemed like a real nice guy.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really nice that he took the time to get, go involved with this.
Yeah. So I sent Kurt basically I did like that all that percussion stuff, the drum, the foot stomps and the claps and stuff.
Yeah.
The clomps. I sent that, your acoustic guitar, and I'd also like done a lot of kind of like editing to your main guitar. So just to give anyone who's watching this a sense of what Kurt got. He'd gotten the guitar, main guitar of the song, the vocals, your background vocals, all the original demo stuff that you sent me. And I had done this to your guitar. I don't know which one's the, let's see. So that's your original guitar line. Here's the original. Which I loved. I thought it was such a cool guitar line. It's a lot of EQ.
Yeah, I'm not like a leady type player, but it was just it
was perfect though.
Yeah.
I'm just looking just kind of generically at like what was done to that guitar.
I wanted to know, like, that kind of, I class that as like the lead guitar because it's a bit more kind of melodic.
Yeah, I think it's a lead guitar, right?
But I wondered how you kind of managed to get that and fit it over the tracks. Obviously, you had to. It wasn't perfectly in time.
That's to get the idea of getting it over the track. I mean, sometimes it's just turning it up, but all this EQ is sculpting a lot of that. So if I listen, so this is the order. It goes from this EQ to the double lock to this EQ to the Echo Boy to the tremolator. That's the order of plugins, like almost like your pedal board.
Right.
So if let me do it this way. So I'm going to make this EQ here inactive, and we'll hear the difference. So that looks like a lot of EQ, but it's really not doing a tremendous amount. It's just taking out the mud. Right. This double lock is probably doing a decent amount. Let's check it out. So it's a lot of level. This thing is just a magic box, and when it works, it's like you're a god, and when it doesn't work, it's just terrible sounding. But it's a distortion and compression unit, and it's based on the old level lock, the Shure level lock, and it's super popular. Everyone uses it, and it's just brilliant. It's great on pretty much everything. People do it on vocals, on guitar, on piano, on bass. Sometimes I'll even do it on the entire mix. Like you can just the mix is at 3. Like I'll literally just like pop it up just the littlest bit, and it will take the whole mix and go, wow, that's more interesting, you know?
Wow.
So that's a big part of it. You can kind of look at this as like a distortion pedal on some level.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the sustain is coming from this. This is just an echo. It's set to like a Benson echo type effect, but it's a quarter note delay. It's really just making it longer. If I bypass the tremolo, you'll hear it. It's just making it longer, you know, and I'm filtering out a lot of the high end on the echo and a lot of the low end so that it's mid-rangey and whatever. Yeah. But that can get really, and I talked about this in Dennis's video, that can get really washy and take over the mix if you do.
Yeah.
If you do it too much. So oftentimes I'll put a tremolo after all this saturation and EQ and all this stuff so that you get, when you solo it, it's really noticeable, but in the mix it sounds less intense, but you'll hear it. So you still hear the delay, you still hear the sustain, but that tremolo makes the guitar sound louder in the mix without having to turn it up because it's taking up less space and making it less muddy.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was taking from the first video you did with Dennis. It was like, because I'm not experienced at recording, so it was kind of interesting listening to you saying about that you don't have to whack the volume up of each track. It's the way that you EQ get the thing that kind of brings certain parts out more and kind of makes it more balanced as a mix.
Yeah, it's such a tricky thing, and it's like it's the classic thing. I was actually talking to Billy about this earlier, like the normal human response is to turn things up. If you can't hear it, you turn it up. And if you want to feel it more, you turn it up. If you want, like, so there's all these things, but if you look at like most mix engineers mix at a very respectful volume, like conversational level. Yeah. So, and the idea is like, you want to make the song sound where you can hear all the parts and have it be really exciting and have all the heart and all the passion at that level. Because then if you turn it up, it's going to be amazing sounding, you know? Exactly. If you listen to it loud all the time, then your ears will compress and the EQ curve of your ears changes. All these things happen technically. Yeah. And I don't know, eventually it just like gets less exciting. The same with compression. If you compress the hell out of something, like especially a lead vocal, at first it's really exciting, but after you've heard it like 10 times, you're kind of like, all right, it's just loud. Like where's the heart, you know, where's the dynamics? So yeah, it's the challenge with all this stuff that I am constantly battling is how do you make something, how do you, like if you're at a certain point in the song, it's like, first off, it's like, well, what's the important part? What should I be listening to? And then once you know what that is, like, how do I make it so that you can hear it and have it be nice and loud or have it be at the right level, but also be connected to all the other music that's supporting it. So it's not just like, especially the lead vocal, you know, like it's easy to turn the lead vocal up, but then sometimes if it's too loud or if it's not the right reverb, then all of a sudden it's like separate from the music. And you don't want that, you know?
Yeah, it's fascinating to me, like how, like on the recording side of things, that like, I can only speak from my experience of trying to record myself and instruments and then my vocal and whatever, but it's like, what is right? Like you can kind of drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
Unless you take your mind out of it and just kind of go, right, what feels right? Kind of what, do you know what I mean? Like
it's all about that in the end. Yeah.
So is that how you kind of, how you mix the track? It's like, right, you know how, you know where the vocal should sit, you know where the guitar, bass, whatever should sit.
I mean, generally I have like, I like just over time, I've developed a couple of different like reference points, you know, like
so where will you go for your like final mix? How do you judge that? How do you go, right, this is where
like, I don't know, I think it's magic actually.
Magic,
yeah.
I thought it might just be magic, but there's no
to me it's still magic. I mean, I have this like ridiculous summing mix all this stuff, and it's all stuff that I learned from like watching Peter really. And everyone can do their screenshots. But I mean, it's way more than that. Like I have like this whole very unnecessarily sophisticated chain that I run everything through, and whatever. It's just like my drums go through here, and my bass goes through here.
Yeah.
But the thing is I know. Let's see, maybe I'm wrong on this one, but I know if I'm getting too much movement on this, then there's either too much low end in the drums or they're just too loud. So let's see where they're at the very end of the song, the loudest point in the song. To me, that's a lot of movement, and it's that clap. The clap probably has too much transient on it. But whatever, it is what it is.
Sorry, what is transient? What's the transient?
Oh, a transient is like if you actually, I can show you. Let's go to a snare drum hit. Where drum kit? There we go. Kick drum's fine. So the transient is kind of that. I guess it's the whole thing, but it's like the attack. See this one right here? That's all grayed out. Yep. There's that part, and then there's all of this.
Yeah.
That is the transient. The transient's like the initial attack. And
right. The impact kind of thing.
Yeah, the impact, and then there's the sustain, which is like the body of the sound. Drums are very transient, whereas like lead vocals, you're gonna get much less of that. There's not much transient activity going on there in a lead vocal. So if a transient's too strong, then it kind of like you feel like you got punched in the ear. You're like, ow, So like compressors are there. Back in the day, a transient would pop the needle out of the record. So you didn't want to do that. So they would make the song quieter, or they would compress it. But compressors were invented because of telecommunications, and people were on the phone, and if someone laughed, like when you're at a bar and someone like leans in and like screams in your ear, and it kills you. Like, phones used to do that. So then they would put a compressor on the signal so that if something really loud came through, one, it wouldn't blow the speaker or the microphone, and the other side, it wouldn't hurt the person's ear.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And limiters, like basically compressors, kind of like make something softer, like a lob, like it doesn't go quite as high.
Yeah, but
a limiter is just like, whoa, you're not getting past that point. Yeah, and if you do, it turns into distortion.
Right.
But it like a guitar amp, like when you turn up a guitar amp, it gets more and more distorted. And then at some point it gets louder, but at some point it stops getting louder. It just gets more distorted. It's not actually getting louder, Yeah. It gets more gain. And that's kind of like what a limiter does.
Right.
So yeah. I don't use limiters that much, but I use a ton of compressors in my chain to make stuff kind of develop out. Like if we look at the drums here, we'll go back to good old Kurt. Because we've now sent Kurt the files, and he's listening to this, and there's this great guitar work. There's this big stomp, percussion, tambourine, all that stuff. And there's vocals and background vocals. And I think I did some keys as well, just some like ambience keys, like OP1 and piano stuff.
Yeah.
And then Kurt was like, basically, what do I do? And he did this. He just added a kick drum.
Yeah.
Nice, like,
nice
kick. And that's basically just like
not quite the lock in the box, but
no, that's not a lock in the box. I did run his room mics through a bass amp, which I think is kind of fun. In mono. What does it sound like without it? Just out of curiosity. Wow, dramatically different.
Well done.
Wow. So yeah. Much more of a blanket feel on the kick drum.
Yeah.
I love running drums through guitar amps and stuff. It's just so great. It pretty much always sounds good.
Yeah.
Or different or interesting or whatever.
Yeah.
But then the thing that Kurt did, which was really powerful, and you can see it in his arrangement, is this is the verse. And then at this point, we're in the chorus. So he still has the kick drum going, but now he's added the snare. And then in the bridge, he comes in with his hi-hats. So that evolution, you can see what he did with the song.
Yeah.
And it's cool because he did this kind of like towel on the snare, but I think it's brushes, like kind of thing. I check it out, just the snare. And this was a weird one. When Kurt sent it to me, I don't know if he did this.
I wasn't expecting that at all. When he sent it over, I was like, "Wow, this is
it's great. It really like we can show the context of the chorus. Let's transition in.
Me up, and we won't wait alone in the mall. Oh, chasing strange trains, crossing train tracks, holding knife. Can't you feel it? Sleepless night.
It's really cool. It helps push the chorus forward.
I wouldn't like a lot of the things on the track. I wouldn't imagine a beat like that, but it was brilliant. It worked so well.
It worked great. Yeah, I was really happy when I heard. I was right there with you. I wasn't expecting it, and it just came in. I was like, but that's part of Kurt's brilliance, is that he understands his instrument so well, and he understands, and he really thinks as a producer. He doesn't think as just a drummer. Like he thinks like Rob, like he's not just playing drums. Like he's like, how does this work with the drum? How does this work with the bass? How does
this whole thing
vocals?
work together?
The arc of the song, all that stuff.
Yeah. I think it's brilliant. Like it really interesting.
And then he did it again on the bridge. He comes in with this beautiful hi-hat.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I just did a little EQ to it, like. It's really cool. You listen to just Kurt doing his thing here. And it's really expressive. He's not just playing straight. Like he's really with the open hi-hat. And is that all the drums? Oh no. Oh, he did some rim clicks too. I think they're really quiet in the mix. Let me show you. They're super quiet in the mix, and they're panned hard left and right.
Yeah,
but they're cool. I think that's just another thing that adds. Let's see if he added anything. These overdubs, I think, are cymbals. Let's see. He had more, but I muted him, which is normal. So he had some cymbals, and then he had this monster fill, which I knew was like important to get right.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at these are the overheads, which is all basic. I mean, everything's kind of just a basic mix, but I relied more on the Devil Lock again. EQing out low end, and then the Devil Lock pumps 100 a little bit, so I pulled that back a little bit. But and so much of that is just volume.
Yeah,
it's so much louder than the rest of the drums.
So I think what he's done there is so interesting. I wouldn't imagine it would be like that, but he's really, he's nailed it. But it's done in such an interesting way. I wouldn't have thought to do it that way.
Yeah. It's brilliant. It's that idea. If we solo all the drums. Oh, and by the way, just for the total nerds, if there's any out there, if you look, I'm summing all these things. They're all going to aux drums, which is here, and I'm just scooping out a little EQ, hitting a little bit of tape at 15 nips. And this guy is doing a lot. This guy and this guy, I use them a lot, pretty much all the time. But they're just like wonderful sounding boxes, and then I'm running all that through this API. So it's like there's a lot going on to make it so loud and big. So yeah, I was just kind of saying like that it looks like a lot, but this is a drum production technique that is non-traditional in I don't know. I mean, compared to electronic music, it's totally like boring, but to like folk music, it's something that I've been doing a lot more for years now, and with Kurt especially, and with even with like Rob and Augustine's and everything, like recording parts in like almost like orchestrally, like individually, as opposed to like a drummer actually playing a full thing. So like we got the foot stomps, which is one thing. We got the claps, which is another thing. We got some like hi-hat, electronic analog drum machine hi-hat stuff.
So you're bringing that all together, even from
and then like Kurt did his snare, and then he did his kick, but he did them separately, and like he did the rim shots, and the big fill is like it's not even in the drum track; it's a whole separate set of tracks. So granted, it adds up a tremendous amount of tracks in a session, and then the cymbals are overdubs, and like it adds like all these like it turns a session from. Well, let's see. Actually, out of curiosity. We have one all the way down to 51. We have 50 tracks of drums on this song, which is a lot. And that's a lot to mix. That's a lot of like stuff to figure out. But the end result is you get cool stuff. Like and like here, like see this gray area right here? That's because I muted the claps during the bridge. Right. A lot of those things you can't even hear in the mix, but if it was all together, then you can't. It's really hard to do that, make those kind of decisions.
Yeah.
But like like if we just listen to the drums by themselves, here's the bridge going into the outro. Ooh, there's a little breakdown. Don't hear that. I forgot about that. That's another thing Kurt did. I don't know where it is. Maybe it's in overdubs.
You used there was so good.
What's that?
There was like a tom in there. I think it was like a real like low. I guess it was a tom, like a real like subby kind of sound.
Oh right.
Just before
so check this out. This is also Kurt playing on his laps. Lap drums. But it's really cool because if you listen to it in context,
I can't even hear that in the song.
Let's hear if you can hear it when you see it. This is it right here. I mean, that's just cool, No,
I never would have guessed.
I mean it. And this kabasa, this is cool too. I like percussion a lot, so it's fun to show this off. You hear that?
Yeah.
And now, it's just cool. It's fun stuff.
Was that Kurt as well doing that?
What's that?
Was that Kurt as well doing?
Yeah, that one's Kurt as well. Yeah. I mean, basically, I just did the. Did I do the shaker or is that Kurt? I don't even know. That might be Kurt too. It probably is Kurt. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I think it was cool because the drum, like the track, had such a foundation with your foot stomp approach and the tambourine that it's like, well, what's Kurt gonna do? But he found room for all this stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
I didn't realize until you showed me that. I didn't realize so much went into that. Like I knew it sounded great, but yeah, that's pretty amazing. Really.
It's often the case with this stuff that like it's like the makeup idea that like for some people the best makeup is the kind that you can't see. So like you dedicate so much energy and effort and time into like making it invisible. And it's the same with like all this like could the song have been the song would have been different without all those drums. It might have been better. But it's fun, you know, like it's if you listen to it and you hear all this stuff going on, it creates that feeling of like,
Oh, definitely.
you know, there's a more sophisticated thing happening.
Yeah.
I hope at least.
Yeah, it sounds incredible, and like you say, it's more sophisticated. Definitely more sophisticated than I could imagine. You know, so it was really cool to hear. Like when you first sent it over, I was like, man, what is this? Sounds amazing.
Love it.
So yeah, good on you, Kurt. Good work.
Good job, Kurt. So let's talk about Don Mitchell then. Don is from the band Darling Side, and I met him because I went up and I was up at Peter's, and we had I just went up for a couple days, and Don and I ended up down in the downstairs studio recording some stuff, just kind of like doing overdubs, some top line stuff, you know, like basically he would pull up a song and be like, what do you hear? Do you hear anything on this? And I would just kind of come up with stuff, and then we inevitably just nerded out and started working together. And like he grabbed his we had like a bullet mic, and we plugged it into his guitar pedal board, and he was singing into it, and we were doing all these weird sounds and just having fun.
Yeah.
And it was cool, and a lot of it ended up on the record, which is really cool too. Their newest record.
I mean, the songs I've heard are amazing.
If you don't know Darling Side, go check them out. It's such a serene, beautiful record.
Yeah.
Peter Kate has produced and mixed it. The band, everyone in the band is like just this ridiculously talented musician, and they all are doing it for the right reasons. They got big heart. They're really, I can't say enough about them. They're great guys.
And if you've checked out their live stuff they've done on Instagram,
it's so good, isn't it?
Amazing. Like they're so tight. Yeah.
They're all recording nerds too. They've put, I don't know how they do it. I should ask them how they do it, but they've put together these beautiful quad video performances of the songs that are really good. Just see everyone playing their part, you know. I love it. So Don, I think he got this before Kurt. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly. Maybe not, but it doesn't matter because he got it. And we were just looking for some like salt and pepper, some like fireworks on top.
Yeah.
And he sent me, he has this cool keyboard called the Septagon, I think it's called. Septavox, something like that. And it's kind of like the, hold on a second.
Rick's just gone to get a lock in the box.
It's kind of like lock in a box. It's kind of like the Organelli. I think it is made by the same company, but it's cooler because it has a speaker built into it, and it's different. But so I knew that we knew that we wanted to add some of that. I was like, can you do some of your cool? Because he's really good at like the arpeggiating, and you can do like these weird dips and rises with it. He's got this cool technique with it. So I knew I wanted some of that, and I was like, you know, if you could try some vocals, if you hear anything, that'd be great. And he wrote back, and he sent me, he's like, hey, what do you think about the possibility of adding banjo? And I was like, I love that idea, you know, and because he was worried about making it too Americana.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, let's just hear it. And he sent me over, like he did a quick pass of it, and he sent it over to me, and it was just brilliant. I loved it. I loved it so much. And I was like, please, that's great. So he did banjo and his Septavox, and he did his vocals, but he kind of did what we did in the studio up at Peter's, where he ran through his pedal board.
Yeah.
Or he ran through a bunch of plugins. I don't know exactly what he did, but he made this like,
wasn't it?
Yeah, dramatically wet vocals. And I can show you kind of, and I ended up using his dry vocal a lot, which he wasn't necessarily expecting. But he's got such a great voice. I was like, why not? So let's see. I'll show it in order of saying what he did. I'll show you. So this is his Septavox. And I'll show you. This is the chorus.
We are runaway.
With no plugins on both. I wonder how different it sounds. I think it was harsh and quiet. It's just a really pretty cool ambient bed. I don't
It's
know.
really interesting to hear it on its own, but like isolated, because I couldn't. You can hear it, but it's like you don't know exactly what it is. You know, it's until hearing it there.
Yeah, I mean it's really interesting because I do love the idea of having different levels of volume in
Yeah,
music in general. And if you look at like the channel, like that's really quiet. The clip gain is really quiet. Like it's really quiet in the mix, but
yeah,
We run away. We
that's really quiet. You can barely hear it. It's the kind of thing that definitely, if you didn't know it was there, you might not hear it. But I love
yeah.
that. I think it's nice to have
Right.
depth.
You can hear it, and it gives you, yeah, like you say, it gives it depth, gives it like a bed to sit on. You know, you can
Yeah,
hear it move through the song.
yeah. It's like, well, it's like the emotion thing. Like emotions, we don't have to scream out loud to express frustration. There's
Yeah,
lots of ways to express it. So,
yeah, exactly.
but I'll show you off some of his very cool vocals that he did here. And I put a delay on there. This is without the delay. And what I did is I took his dry voice, which with nothing sounds like this. Oh, I didn't. So that's what that sounds like normally. But I ran it through a bunch of stuff. Tremolo, EQ, taking the low end out. This is just leveling. But with the tremolo, it makes a big difference. And that's actually really loud in the mix, if we check it out.
and as the fog lifted up, we will fall.
Its tail. So that's all Dom. Like that basically, to me, that made that transition work. Because before it was like, there was something special about it, and it got that sunlight feeling that you were talking about, like the sunlight hitting your face.
Yeah,
But there's something about Dom's vocals that I don't think could have been done with a synthesizer. Like,
no.
because it's a human voice, it
Yeah.
felt more intimate and real.
I think that's why I like that part, is because he took the chorus out of there. That was normally the first chorus, but it's like we're taking a second, we're taking a minute to let the sun in, to
Right.
feel our surroundings, and then it's like bang, and now we're into the thing,
Into the big.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah. I think I love that about the.
I agree. Let's listen to it. Just that transition real quick with all the instruments.
And as the fog lifted up, we will fall. You are the one that just can't let it go.
It's a beautiful moment. I really, I love that
Are there
moment.
birds in there, or is it just me? It's my imagination.
What's that?
Are there birds in there, or is it just my imagination?
Oh, I think it's the piano. And there's not birds. No, there's some twinkly.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's this? That's the second verse. Where's Dom singing? Here it is. Pre-chorus. I guess it's this. I know there's some OP1, and that's kind of pretty. I mean, it's just a chord, but there's this too. Oh, it's this. Yeah, it's that. I think it's this. It's just piano, like it's like some, but I don't know what it sounds like before all the junk. And then I just put delays and echoes and tremolos and and reverb on it. So it kind of dances a little bit more. I love that stuff though. I love that kind of ambient. Also, again, ridiculously quiet in the mix.
Yeah.
You don't even hear it. But then I think the thing that for me that sold the end of the song is if we mute down here, and this is going into the end.
We run away.
So obviously the vocals are huge there and important, but with the introduction of the banjo right at that point, it just sealed the deal for me in the best way. I loved it.
Yes.
We run away.
Here's your voice.
Nightmares.
Not me.
He's really up there.
Is that?
Masquerade.
I was thinking about that bit.
Run away.
There's your masquerade part.
Sleepless masquerade. Masquerade.
Pretty cool, right?
Right, yeah, that's it.
And then this is all Dom at the end.
See your tired eyes light up. See your tired eyes light up.
Pretty cool, right?
Nice one.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's all those beds in there that it would just be such a different song without their contributions, you know. And it's so exciting. I just love it.
That on its own, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So, are there any other things in the song that you would like to see or have the opportunity to check out? It's fine if there isn't. Yeah.
No, I mean, I just love the way especially the final third all comes together, and that it's like you can hear all the backing vocals, and it's all so well mixed there. You can actually hear. So there's you know, the first chanting bit. The first chanty bit is like
this part here.
Darling, we are runaway.
You've got the bit, but you've got like the chanty bit, the woes before that, and then
this part right here. This part. Yeah.
I think it's great how you managed to mix that.
Well,
and then the next part's just because there's so much going on at the end. Like,
let's show off all your talent here, because this is just the vocals, and there's a lot. We have some reverb rides here. That's what all this stuff is, and I talk about that in Dennis's video. But
yeah,
you know, to kind of create movement.
Runaways, we runaways. Oh, run away. Oh.
I do Reese a shout out for that. The Runaways.
Yeah.
Reese moved when I went to record, so I recorded some of the vocals here in Essex, and Reese he said Reese Broomfield. He's the
engineer that you worked with to record the vocals and guitar.
Great guy. He was like, I can hear this thing in there. He's like, do you mind if I just say? And I was like, no, man.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah, that's no, it's not him. I mean, it's obviously I recorded the vocals, but
Oh, okay.
it's his idea. He's like, man, you got to do that, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. And then I was like, hell, it's like that should have always been there, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
I've got to give
that's
credit.
amazing that I didn't know that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it. I think it's this.
Run away.
Well done, Reese. Good spot.
Yeah, and so this is cool because you guys, when you did the vocals, we were talking about like best practices and whatnot. And I know you set up a room mic when you did all the vocals, and I didn't use the room mic on the lead vocal. I don't think. No, I didn't. It's just the standard close mic.
Yeah.
But on these vocals here, let me see. Oh no, okay. So I ran this through Altiverb as well. Did I use the room? No, I did use the room. Let me check this out because this is kind of cool. I actually did a lot on all the backgrounds that you had.
Yeah.
I didn't use much reverb, but it's quite wet. But the wetness comes from room sounds more than anything. So let me turn this off and hear this. What's this doing?
Run away.
Yeah, so you can hear how roomy that is. That run away. And is there reverb on the main spring plate, but it's normal stuff.
Run away.
Hear how I don't know if you can hear it through the computer, but from my perspective, it's really roomy sounding and really kind of set in the back.
Yeah.
Run away.
And then I put it even further in the back with Altiverb. I really love Altiverb. And I used this cello studios. I recorded here. It's an amazing studio, and I use it a lot. But it's very subtly different.
Run away. Run away.
But it's just a little bit further back and a little bit wider, which I really like. And if you listen to it in the mix, I don't know if there's any other runaways. Let's see what this one is doing.
Run away.
Yeah, so then these ones are hard left and right.
Run away.
And they're closer. So I in all of these vocals, I'm not going to go through all of them because there's a lot and it would probably be too boring. But in all these vocals, is this doing it as well?
Run away.
That's a really good example. So check this out. The low voice is bone dry, no reverb at all, except for what's on the master, which is basically little. Bone dry and dead in the center, and really close, right up to your face. And you're louder, where you're really singing. It's mostly room mic, and that room mic is sent into an Altiverb, which makes it even roomier. So check it out.
Wait.
What? Did you just say something? Check this out.
Just like
Run away.
He said weird.
weird.
That's in the track.
Weird.
Brilliant. That's great.
Wait. Run away.
Oh, you're saying we're. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lyric. It'd be more fun if it was weird. But let's see what the woes also have. I'm using a lot of room. Oh, it's all room. Every one of these is a room. No reverb on there. It's just room mic. That's why it sounds so far away. But the idea is if we look at the lead vocal, which is singing that line as well. That has reverb on it, normal plate, and a little bit of chamber.
Yeah.
You can no longer hear this reverb that I just played. This one. It's so quiet that you can't even hear it when the lead vocal's on, but it creates depth. So it gives the lead vocal a sense of depth. And all these together, you'll probably be able to hear if I do the lead vocal and the low vocal. Supporting it. These are some more BBs you did.
Whoa.
Again, really quiet. This looks like a really bad edit.
Run away. Whoa.
Again, really quiet. Here's more doubles.
Run away. Whoa.
Everything's really quiet.
Run away. Whoa.
I mean, there's like 16 tracks of woes here. But really, your lead vocal still is right at the front. And at the end, I think you kind of separate it out.
Runaways, we're runaways. I see your tired eyes light up. I see your tired eyes light up. Yeah.
I remember it took me a while to like get everything where I could hear it, you know, because there's so many different vocals. I love that. I love when there's lots of vocals, but it took a while to get like who's taking the lead, where's it going to sit, what's going to be roomy, what's going to be in the background, all that stuff. But
yeah,
I mean, it came out really great. I'm just going to play 30 more seconds so you can feel uncomfortable hearing your voice solo.
It's really cool. We're runaways. We're runaways. I see your tired eyes light up. I see your tired eyes light up. Yeah. We're runaways. We're runaways. See your tired eyes light up. Runaways. See your tired eyes light up. Runaways.
It's great. I mean, I think you did such a great job on those vocals. Really, really good.
So.
And look at this. I heard it before, and I don't know where it went. This guy right here. This is the original demo vocal. That was from the original demo that wasn't even recorded to a click track.
Wow. So what, did you stretch that out? Or?
Yeah, that's the first thing I do is I just took your
that's my lady vocal
song and plopped it on the grid, which is why for the longest time the vocals and the guitar sounded, part of the reason why they sounded so crazy is because they were stretched to fit onto a grid, you know.
Yeah. But no, man, you did an amazing job with this track. I'm so pleased with how it's come out. I mean, obviously dealing with all those different vocal tracks and making sure everything sits in the right place. I think you did an amazing job.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Sounds
I mean,
brilliant.
it's just, like I said, I love the challenge of making it all work. And it's funny because it's like, I'm always asking myself, like, the brilliance of Jack White is removing elements, like minimalism. And I love minimalism, but I also love maximalism. So, if that's a word. And I love the concept of like, because I feel like when you're on stage and people are doing their thing and they're really into it and the music is so loud and like everything's hitting you so hard, that's a very maximalist existence, and the thing that we lose in a recording world is all that chaos. We lose the chaos when everything's so clean and pristine and perfect. And I try so hard to make everything heard, but then it's also like keyboard line on the chorus. I think one of the reasons why it works so well is because it makes the chorus less clear. The chorus is less pristine and less like everything's a little bit mushier. And generally, like, people look at that as bad, but sometimes you need that. Like, and all these vocals, like the song would have been totally different without all those vocals. Yeah,
it creates the atmosphere, doesn't it? I think that's what it is. It's like,
and like we might do a track in the future where it's just guitar and vocal, or just vocal and a piano, or vocal and a keyboard. There's nothing wrong with the minimalist approach, but
see, I love a track with just vocal, guitar, and maybe like a organ, like just underneath it, or just something to give it a bit of depth. But that's it. I think a lot of songs there's a few songs that I think when I listen to them, I think they're just guitar and vocal, but there's a mood created by just something else pushing up that you don't really notice it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no doubt. I love that.
I love. There's many tracks like that, but there's actually an example is there's a Ryan Adams cover of "Shake It Off" by Taylor Swift,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just so minimal. And there might be a couple of guitars, and there's like an organ in there, but it's just that's pretty much it. And a cool snare that comes in towards later on. Might be running through most of the track, but it's very minimal. But it's just. Sometimes that's all it needs. Sometimes that's all the track
Love it. Yeah.
needs.
Yeah, man. Well, this one turned out this way. So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the freedoms that should be celebrated, that like in the creative endeavors, like you know, letting something be what it is. Like this song is this, and I'm really proud of how it came out. I'm really thrilled with the end result. I love that, you know, the community broadened out to Kurt and Dom on this one, and you know, now the song exists. It didn't exist before. This recording didn't exist before, and now it does, and that's really at the core the most important thing.
That's so true. Like with every song that you do, it's its own thing. Some songs you might record it and you imagine it to turn out a different way or whatever, but it's once it's done, it's that's the thing it is, and then you on to the next one, and then it's just it's a great experience. It's a great thing to be able to do. It's like once you've got this body of work, which I'm kind of in the early days of
building,
building, but it's really not really nice to look back and even look back on like where it started from, like the original demo, and then hearing what we've done since then, and like it's evolution since then, and but yeah, like you say, every song is its own thing. It's its own moment in time, and then you on to the next.
Then you go on to the next. Yeah,
it just keeps going, and that's the beauty of this thing.
I love it.
Yeah, but I just want to say a big thanks, like, for having me on board with this, with your Harbour Community Sessions. It's an amazing idea to start with, and you're doing it, you know. So congratulations for that, you know.
Cheers. Thank you for being a part of it. I love it. I loved working on the songs, and
yeah,
you know, I mean, all the songs I loved working with you, but this song is the newest. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just great. I love it. I mean, it's fun for me. I do it because I love it. You know,
well, that's obvious, man. That's completely obvious to everyone. I'm sure everyone watching this can see that as well. So
all 10 of them.
To the viewer watching this.
To the viewer. Totally. Anyone who's made it this far, I will give you $5. Just text me and I'll.
Yeah. I think we've done well, considering we've done this twice now. So.
Yeah, man, it was a pleasure, and I'll reach out in a little bit, but I'll save this, make sure that everything goes in cleanly, and we'll take it from there. But thank you for taking the time today to talk.
And the little one as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care, buddy. See you soon.
Take care, dude. I will talk to you later.
See you later.
Bye.